Hi everyone, and welcome to Deck the Halls DIY Studios tutorial on how to paint your ladybug. You will need your paint that was provided in your kit. You'll need your white sponges, and you will need your orange sponge. You will also want to have your stencil nearby. All right, we'll get started. Okay, to paint your ladybug today, I'm going to use red and black, but you will use whatever colors you requested in your kit. You can take your big yellow sponge and you can simply paint your base coat for your ladybug. So I'm going to paint the back, or her main part of her body, red, and I'm just gonna go as straight as I can across her feet. Okay, and you don't need much paint at all. I'm just kind of dabbing it in this little bit of paint I have on my paper here. You will have cups of paint in your kit. And so you can just, if you want to flip over the lid and just dab out of the lid, that's a great way to not get too much paint on your sponge. Okay, so you notice that I left the face alone. I'm just gonna leave it like that. And then I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna do the sides. I'd recommend painting the sides because those parts will be seen when you stand your ladybug up on your shelf or on your table. She's very cute though. So you'll just wanna get your edges, because those parts you'll want covered in the color. And then down below, you might wanna take the skinny part of your sponge, your white sponge, and kind of wiggle that in down here. Now the great thing about these white sponges is you can cut them. We reuse them when we're in the studios, so you feel free to cut them for your for whatever works for you. I need a little bit more paint, so I'll put a little bit of paint out to get in between. Okay, so now that my red is all painted, I'm going to come in and paint my black. So I'm gonna take my sponge. I really like using the small sponges, but you'll just wanna paint your black or whatever your other color is. And then you're just kinda gonna decide where her head is. Okay, so I'm just kinda swooping, and that's also why I painted my red first, because I knew my black would come on and go over my red really well. So you'll just paint, and then again, you'll wanna come in and do the sides. Oh, and I should do my feet too. So I'm just gonna dab on my feet and make sure you, now I went up a little bit over, and so when that happens, we work a lot with baby wipes in the studio. So you can just wipe it off, and then you might want to touch up your red later, or you might like it. It's a little bit of a distressed look. So we'll just paint those, and then again, like we did with the red, you'll want to go and hit all of the sides of your ladybug and cover those. Now you'll notice that I'm not painting the back. You do not have to paint the back, but you certainly could. You're not provided the second stencil for the back. You could request one, but you could also, if this is a kid's project, maybe they just want a free paint on the back. That would be pretty fun. So you have options, but for today's video, I will not be painting the back. Okay, so once you've finished painting your ladybug, you'll want her to dry. And I'm just cleaning up my hands because the black got a little messy. So you'll want to make sure she is dry before you proceed with the next step. And the next step, you'll take your small piece of sandpaper that was provided in your kit, and you will lightly sand your cutout, your ladybug. Now you're sanding where you're going to put the stencil. And notice that I'm just lightly sanding it, nothing too crazy. Now, if you want it more of a rustic look, you can really use that sandpaper, as you can see, and go around the edges and sand it so you get a little bit more of that rustic look. That's fun too. Maybe we'll go that route with this one. Okay. And you can always sand more after you do your stencil. So now you're gonna wanna wipe off your design. And I usually use like my sleeve or a rag, but I forgot to bring one over, or a cloth. So you just really wanna dust it off. Now you didn't do too much sanding, so it's not gonna be too much. And then we'll get ready to apply our stencil. So your stencil has clear transfer tape over the top of it. So you're gonna want to, I will move my Ladybug out of the way for a moment. You wanna lay it down upside down, smooth it out, and then you're going to peel back from a corner, and you want all of the blue stencil to stay down on the table, connected to that clear tape, which is transfer tape. Okay, and then you can put your white paper aside, and we will move our Ladybug back. Now, if any blue comes up while you're moving your stencil apart like that, then you'll want to push it right back down. And then you can align your Ladybug where you would like her, the stencil. So I'm just kind of looking, it fits pretty well. So I'm just kind of looking where the legs are to kind of align that part. And once you're happy, go ahead and smooth it down. I generally just use my hands, but sometimes people like to use a gift card or a credit card when they're at home. If you've DIY'd with us in our studios, we have these things called squeegees, and you can do that too. But like I said, you don't have to. You can just, sometimes I just use my fist, run it over that. And now you're gonna pull up the clear transfer tape, leaving the blue on the board. All right, so we're ready to give her her spots. I need a little bit more paint here, so I'll fill that up. Now, to do the spots, you're going to simply use your white sponge, and my white sponge is turned black. So we're gonna grab a new one here, and you don't need hardly any paint. So dab it off. So you load in the paint, unload on the side, and then dab. And it's just like, just dabbing, light dabs, nothing too crazy, because less is more. So when I need more, I go back in, and I continue on. Notice that I'm not getting too much paint. Did a lot of dabbing off there, because you don't need much. Now less is more, because if you get a lot or you paint, you run the risk of bleeding under your stencil. And then when you do that, you're gonna wanna, we'll talk about that, but you can scrape it off. Now her face, I'm gonna do a little bit of white for her face. And the same rules apply. You're gonna take your white sponge, get it, paint on it, dab it off. And I chose white for her mouth. And then I'm gonna just do white for her eyes. Now you're gonna wanna make sure that your blue stencil covers where you're painting, because whatever isn't covered will end up with your paint color that you're dabbing. Okay, so I feel like this is pretty good. You're gonna want to peel up your stencil. Now, again, in the studio, we use X-Acto knives. So if you have one of those, you can certainly use that. If you have like a tweezers or maybe a paper clip, you might want to use that, or sometimes your nails work. You'll wait for it to be a little bit dry, but because we did not use a lot of paint, it should be fairly dry. And you can just start pulling up your stencil, and you're gonna get this super cute Ladybug. So we'll pull this piece up, and we will pull out her eyes here. Super cute Ladybug again. Now, in the kit, you can use these eyes that are here, or if you want, we are including googly eyes. So if you want to put googly eyes on her, I think those are super fun. The kids will just love that. So you'll still paint the stencil for that outside if you'd like. So how you can see that outside white that I painted. And then you can apply the googly eyes. So you'll want to use a little bit of glue for those, but isn't that adorable? Love it. And she will stand on your table or on your shelf. And this is a perfect project for kids. So we can't wait to see your projects, what you create. So please share them on our Facebook page. And thank you for creating today with Deck the Halls.